everyone. Ki Runneeti brought to you by Bad Crick 7 and CricTracker. Big cricketing day today as three matches are lined up. First of which is a clash between Bangladesh and Zimbabwe. And considering the quote unquote upsets that Zimbabwe have already caused on the way to the tournament and then in the tournament, nothing can be ruled out. Bangladesh, on the other hand, have been struggling in T20Is throughout this year. To talk more about that, we've got slightly nervous looking Habibul Bashar and we also have Kobus Olivia. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
So I just want to rub it in, Habib, कि जिस तरह से अभी तक हमने देखा है जिम्बाब्वे का प्रदर्शन रहा है अगर टूर्नामेंट के अंदर के ही परफॉर्मेंसेस पे जीरो इन करें पाकिस्तान को 1 रन से हराया था अभी के जो समीकरण बन रहे हैं लग रहा है कि जिम्बाब्वे के साइड मोमेंटम है
वो तो है, definitely वो तो है, because Zimbabwe before the World Cup, Bangladesh played against Zimbabwe 2 series, T20 series where Zimbabwe उस सीरीज में जीता है बांग्लादेश के साथ. उस पे तो उस लोग कॉन्फिडेंट लेके आया और ये वर्ल्ड कप में भी बहुत अच्छा खेल रही है, अच्छा खेलने के प्रदर्शन कर रही है जिम्बाब्वे. And they're playing serious good cricket. Beating Pakistan after scoring only 130 is not easy. They're really bowling well, and they look like a very good group. If you look at, 6 months back against Bangladesh team, you would have said, no, Bangladesh is going to win easily against Zimbabwe. That's the scenario. But scenario has been changed. Now Zimbabwe is a more confident side. The players are performing. So in this game, definitely they will be more confident than Bangladesh. But Bangladesh is still a good side, I think. If they can play with their fear away, play their best cricket, Bangladesh can still win this game. But Zimbabwe will be more confident. In the current form, in this World Cup, Zimbabwe will be more confident than Bangladesh, that's for sure.
Those words coming in from a former captain, and of course, it must not have been easy to utter those words. But coming back to you, Kobus, and looking at how Zimbabwe have fared so far, Bangladesh, on the other hand, have been struggling since the last T20I World Cup in particular. In the last World Cup as well, last edition of the World Cup, they didn't do well. Asia Cup, they struggled. What are the lessons that probably Zimbabwe can serve to Bangladesh?
Well, I think first of all, Bangladesh obviously came off a tough game. They had a very hard game against South Africa. They didn't do very well, but they've just got to put it behind them. And they can also take a lot of confidence from the fact that if you look at the head-to-head there on the screen, they've won 12 out of 7. So that will definitely give them confidence. And Bangladesh has a proven side. They've experienced team. They've played a lot of T20 cricket, and I believe firmly Bangladesh will fancy their chances today against Zimbabwe. They will believe that they can win this game.
बांग्लादेश अभी we see there were a lot of issues to address. ओपनिंग के बारे में लगातार चर्चा हो रही थी कि किस तरह से वर्ल्ड कप से पहले काफी सारे कॉम्बिनेशंस ट्राई किए क्लैरिटी नहीं थी कि किस कॉम्बिनेशन को बैक करेंगे इवेंचुअली वर्ल्ड कप में अभी तक 2 मैचेस में अच्छी शुरुआत मिली है 47 और 23 रन्स की पार्टनरशिप मिली है लेकिन अब जो ध्यान जाता है वो मिडिल ऑर्डर के प्रदर्शन की तरफ जाता है
वो तो है लेकिन what I think Bangladesh get a little good start to the opening side, but then their opener need to score big.
Yeah.
I mean, the opener, after having a good start, they're getting out cheap. I mean, not scoring, someone not batting till 15, 10 overs. So they're getting out inside 6 overs, which is not good. In Australia, the batters are a little bit struggling. It's not easy someone to go and hit a little bit more bounce, ball is still swinging. So it's a bit harder for the guys who just get in. So someone needs to bat till 15, 20 overs for Bangladesh. Someone needs to score big, not only 20, 30 runs. Someone needs to score a 50, someone needs to score 70. If it is come from the top order, it will definitely help Bangladesh. So far, even Bangladesh hasn't bat well yet. I mean, in both games. Though Bangladesh won against Ireland, Netherlands, but the batters actually, not scoring big runs. That's the issue for Bangladesh in T20 cricket. And today is the day. I hope someone gets the big runs, either in top or middle order. Whoever comes, someone needs to score big. Someone needs to occupy the wicket so that others can play around him. So that's probably the if Bangladesh bat first or bat chase. That's probably the batters you need to think about.
Just to bring a smile on your face, Habib, we are revisiting the head to head, which obviously favors Bangladesh because in the past clashes, it's Bangladesh that has done better than Zimbabwe. That's what the numbers suggest. It's 12 to 7 in favor of Bangladesh, with 19 matches being played between both the sides. Now, of course, we keep moving between Bangladesh's journey and Zimbabwe's journey. Talking about Zimbabwe now, Kobus, how they struggled with the issues involving the cricket board when it came to pace, even that was not assured to the players. To have come through that and then made it to the World Cup and then creating the splash that they are creating. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, Zimbabwe has got a very, very good side. Let's not take that away from them at all. They experienced side, the unit that's been playing together. They're in a very good space as a team at the moment. I mean, the confidence they must be bringing into this game today after beating Pakistan, one of the pre-tournament favorites. I mean, the confidence they take from that. They must honestly believe today that if they can beat Pakistan, they can beat any team in this tournament. And also, if you look at it, Zimbabwe with that pace bowling, the wickets in Australia really suits the Zimbabwe pace attack. It suits their batsmen. They've got stroke players like Raza, Madavera up front, Craig Evans. I mean, these guys, Williams, they're all stroke players and they're hard, bouncy wickets. The ball is coming onto the bat. So the conditions in Australia really favors the Zimbabwe team. They've got the right team. And then also don't forget their coaching or their leadership within the team. Craig Evans is 30, Craig Irvine, sorry. He's 37 years old. He's highly experienced. Dave Houghton, the coach, he's played cricket for Zimbabwe. He's coached Zimbabwe before. He's coached all over the world. So he installs, these guys will install a lot of confidence in these players. And they're riding high at the moment. They're sitting on 3 points after 2 games, playing Pakistan and taking a point from South Africa. Who would have thought that before the tournament? So definitely Zimbabwe at the moment, the team to watch.
एब्सोल्युटली कोबस ने कोच का जिक्र किया डेव जिस तरह से उन्होंने टीम में कॉन्फिडेंस लाया है इनफैक्ट वो काफी सारे इंटरेस्टिंग मोमेंट्स जो जिम्बाब्वे क्रिकेट की हिस्ट्री में रहे हैं उसमें इन्वॉल्व रहे हैं बतौर प्लेयर बतौर कोच और वो कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं अभी भी वो इम्पोर्टेंट मोमेंट्स में इन्वॉल्व होते हुए
हाँ डेफिनेटली बट इसी बांग्लादेश को जो वर्ल्ड कप के पहले जो कोच एशिया कप के पहले जो कोच नई इंट्रोड्यूस किया बांग्लादेश फॉर T20 फॉर्मेट्स श्रीधरन who has got huge experience in Australian condition. He's been worked with the Australian team for a very long time, knows all the Australian grounds, their dimension, the behavior of the pitches. So he's hugely experienced and he's been trying new stuff, always what all coaches does. But bringing confidence, bringing something else, it is he's trying very hard. What I have seen with Sridharan, but at the end, it is actually all about players, how they take it, how they react with the preparation and planning. Yes, coaches very important, and to get motivated the players to give them planning and other stuff. But at the end, it's very important for the players to execute those plans and programs.
Indeed, we've seen Sriram in the press conferences tackling questions and some tough questions considering how Bangladesh have fared in the last 12 months and overall as well in this format in the World Cups. Because remind you, the last time when Bangladesh registered a win against a full member side, that was way back in 2007 in their inaugural game in the World Cup against the West Indies. So certainly tough questions are coming his way whenever he's in the press conferences. And he mentioned about how they want to navigate through the dimensions of the ground in Australia, because that's something that's very interesting. Some grounds are diagonally big, there are some grounds that have big square boundaries, and then there are grounds which have straight but long boundaries. So, of course, using that to their advantage, playing to their strengths, is something that he as well as Jamie Siddons had been working on. Now, Kobus, it's interesting because in Bangladesh's case, pace and bounce has proved their undoing, at least in this World Cup so far. And they're not used to this sort of pace and bounce. They're not used to, maybe, of course, there are big grounds in Bangladesh as well. They played in India as well, which as well has some big grounds. But anyway, sense of being overwhelmed is what, as fans, probably we can see.
No, I listened to the pre-match reports, and apparently they expect the wicket to be bouncy and fast today, very similar to what Zimbabwe experienced in Perth when they beat Pakistan, and that absolutely suits their pace bowling attack. They've got the four fast bowlers, three really flat out pace bowlers. They've got height. I mean. They've got the left armour, so they've got variation. So this pitch definitely today will suit the Zimbabwe pace bowling attack. It's going to be hard and fast, and they're definitely going to ask questions of the Bangladeshi top order. And what they will hope for is a few early wickets. If they get say two or three wickets early on, get Bangladesh to sort of 23 for three, that's going to put immense pressure on the Bangladesh top order batters, and Bangladesh will be under pressure immediately. So my feeling is if Zimbabwe wins the toss today, they're going to put Bangladesh into bat first, hope for an early breakthrough, and try to restrict them to a score of not more than 140, and then back themselves to chase that down.
Our producer issuing a gentle reminder that it is Bangladesh who have won the toss and they have opted to bat first. So that might surprise Kobus a bit.
Interesting.
But the thing that we were discussing about Zimbabwe's bowling attack, Habib, हमने देखा है कि उस bowling attack में ही बहुत ज़्यादा variety है, even among spacers.
It does, as Kovas mentioned, that this weekend actually suit Zimbabwean bowlers. They don't have big, spinners. They based on rely on their faster bowlers. Like when we in Zimbabwe when we played Harare ground, kind of similar condition, hard and bouncy, ball single or so. These conditions actually suited the batsmen, bowlers. But Bangladesh need to bat on definitely, and Bangladesh need to understand it's Australian wicket, it's not subcontinental wicket. You don't look for 60 runs in first 6 overs. You just need to bat long. Both the openers need to bat long. If you give away, early wickets, then the opposition will get that use that advantage. But it's not that bad. This wicket is not bad. As hearing Virat Kohli's interview and what he mentioned, if you give yourself a little bit of time, this is the best possible wicket to bat on in Australia because you get value for a wicket. A good bounce, good pace, evenly poised, everything evenly poised. So batters need to understand it's not going to be going and hitting kind of wickets. If they just give them some time, they still can score big runs. So Bangladesh batters, yes, they batted first. They should look to occupy the wickets and looking for the singles, doubles, and odd boundaries. It's not about only slogging in first 6 overs in this World Cup. So I hope they took their lessons from last two games and act accordingly in this very important game.
Interesting that you use the word slogging. I'd come back to that, but let's also discuss with you the changes that have been brought in by both the teams. So Bangladesh have opted for Yasser Ali in place of Mehdi Hassan, and Zimbabwe too have made one change. Jongwei makes way for Chatara. We'll get back to that discussion as well, but quickly, Kobus, your thoughts on the word slogging. Now, Jamie Siddons mentioned the fact that Bangladesh have gone for slogging, which doesn't suit their style of play. And maybe in the game against South Africa, they didn't have any other option because they were chasing a mammoth target. But otherwise, probably that's one thing that's ailing them in T20 eyes. Building the innings smartly, playing percentage cricket too, can bear rewards, at least in the Australian wickets.
Yeah, you can go out slogging in T20 cricket, but you're taking a huge risk. It can go either way. You go out slogging, it comes off, and in the you 60 after 6 overs, but also it can go horribly wrong for you up front. So I think the correct way to approach these games, especially against you've got to get a bit used to the wicket first, the pace of the wicket, have a look at the wicket. You can't just go in and throw your bat at everything. So I think especially today for Bangladesh, it's going to be winning the toss and then batting first, backing their batters to do well against this Zimbabwe bowling attack. I think Bangladesh today, the batsmen will have to go in, play a bit more of a structured innings, if I can use that term, and play themselves in. Try to bat deep and give themselves a chance to get at least one batsman in the top five to bat deep through the innings, and the other batters can bat around him. But the last thing they want is to be 30 for 3. That builds pressure on the middle order. Immediately they're under pressure.
And that sort of score we've seen for quite a few times this World Cup within the power play overs, the opening denting the
Yes.
top order, and that's because the early on swing that's on offer. But coming back to the changes made by both the sides, how do you look at the changes? जिम्बाब्वे के केस में अभी हमने देखा था जोंगवे को पिछले मुकाबले में एक ओवर मिला था और उन्होंने एक विकेट भी निकाला था। इसके अलावा बल्लेबाजी में भी चिप इन करते हैं डाउन दी ऑर्डर, और बांग्लादेश के केस में भी एक बदलाव आया है, यासिर अली को लेकर आए हैं in place of Mohammad Wasim.
Bangladesh again batting with heavy batting lineup. Probably they're looking, someone one extra batters in this wicket, and they thought that that the fifth over they can manage with other bowlers, part timers. So they are because probably they're not scoring runs, so they're playing with one extra batters. But Zimbabwe going opposite way. They're playing it in extra bowlers. Yeah, Zongo is a good all-rounder, but Chatara is a genuine bowler. So both sides thinking different. Bangladesh going with heavy batters, one with one part-timers and 4 genuine bowlers, but Zim going with one extra bowlers, genuine bowlers. So there's a difference between two thinking difference between two teams.
You mentioned Bangladesh not scoring enough runs. In the meanwhile, the sort of form Sikandar Raza has been in is going to make it even more difficult for them to score runs. Kobus, we've seen his performances so far in the World Cup. He's either been chipping in with the bat or with the ball, and such an all-rounder. He is, of course, most valuable player for Zimbabwe so far in this World Cup. And when we say most valuable player, we of course think about players who can leave such an imprint on the game. They can change the game on their own. They have that X factor. Sunil Kumar Yadav for India is one name that really pops up. Which name in your head comes up when I say MVP of this World Cup?
I would say today on form, Raza to me, and as you mentioned, Yadav, for me, they're very similar players. I actually had a good look at them over the last few days. I sort of got some old videos of them, and a lot of similarities. They both make the game look very easy. They both love the big stage. They're both in top form. Raza has experience of playing cricket all over the world. He plays a lot of franchise cricket. And then they're both confident players. They walk out and they love the big stage. They absolutely show that confidence. And the similarities to me were they're both very clean strikers of the ball. They're both nicely balanced at the crease. They play all around the wicket. They're both innovative cricketers. They seem to sum up the match situation pretty well and adjust to that situation very quickly. And they can both take a game completely away from the other team, either by setting up a big total or by chasing a total. So they these kind of type of players that where they bat at number 4 and 5 that can adjust their game according to the situation in the match. So for me, they're the two players that I would say very similar players and important players in their team. The team plays around them.
हबीब आपके नॉमिनेशंस कौन से हैं MVP ऑफ दिस टूर्नामेंट के लिए?
टूर्नामेंट के लिए और किस मैच के लिए? टूर्नामेंट के लिए
टूर्नामेंट के लिए
that's going to be very hard because there are a lot of good players in this tournament, and it's very important who is in their best form in this tournament. It's a tournament, so sometimes good base batsman, not giving enough opportunity to perform. Before the tournament, I thought Josh Butler is one of the MVP will be this tournament, but he hasn't scoring that. So it is important, who will be their best form during the tournament. So far, Virat Kohli looks very good. Definitely, he's been probably in comeback in his top form. So he looks very good. So if India goes through, I think Virat Kohli can be the most valuable player in this tournament.
Mm. Indeed, interesting and challenging as well to predict that so early on in the tournament. But one thing that can for sure be predicted is that by the end of the tournament, by the end of the year, Sikandar Raza might be gifted a watch showroom by his captain Craig Irvine. And the reason I mention this is because ahead of the tournament, they had made a promise to themselves and each other that whoever backs the Player of the Match award would be gifted a fancy watch by the other individual involved. And now, in this case, Sikandar Raza has already bagged three man of the match in this tournament. And overall, this year, he has seven Player of the Match awards. So you can wonder the number of watches that Craig Irvine has to buy for his teammate who's been on a phenomenal run. Now, let's have a look at the playing 11 of both the teams. Like we mentioned, they both made one change each in case of Bangladesh. Soumya Sarkar, NH Shanto, Liton Das, Shakib Al Hassan, Afif Hussain. Yasser Ali is the one change that we were referring to. Nurul Hassan, Musadik Hussain, Taskin Ahmed, Hassan Mahmood, and Mustafizur Rahman. For Zimbabwe, it's Wesley. Craig Irvine, the skipper. Milton Shumba, not really good returns for him so far in the tournament. 5 matches, just 55 runs. Sean Williams, Sikandar Raza, Regis Chakabba, Ryan Burl, Tandai Chatara, Brad Evans, and Richard and Blessing Muzarbani complete the 11. Now, of course, I try and draw your attention, Cobus, to Brad Evans' performance. In the previous game, he was brought in the 11 and he was on the money straight away. He bowled some difficult overs, including the death over and in the power play as well. And he was an important reason why Zimbabwe see that one run win.
Yeah, I think for me on the day that final over that he bowled, I mean, under immense pressure, defending 11 runs, he went for four of the first ball, and then that comeback from there against Pakistan, it's just unbelievable. Big match temperament, first of all, keeping a cool head under pressure, and what pressure that was. So I think definitely he showed on the day temperament and again a fantastic example of best ball bowling at the end in the death overs of T20. So a big player in that Zimbabwe team.
हबीब हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि प्रॉब्ली क्या लेसन्स जिम्बाब्वे क्रिकेट का जो उत्थान हुआ है पिछले एक साल में उससे क्या लेसन्स बांग्लादेश ड्रॉ कर सकता है एक चीज जो रियली यहाँ पे स्टैंड आउट करती है वो प्रॉब्ली है और कोई भी ऑफ कोर्स कंट्री जो अच्छी चीज है जिम्बाब्वे की वहां से तो ऑफ कोर्स ले सकता है वो ये है कि लीडरशिप ग्रुप के बीच में जिस तरह की दोस्ती है जिस तरह की कैमराडरी है जिस तरह से क्रेग अर्वाइन लगातार कंसल्ट करते रहते हैं लीडरशिप ग्रुप को बहुत ज्यादा ईगो इन्वॉल्व नहीं है ये सारी चीजें कितनी महत्वपूर्ण हो जाती हैं
अगर आप कांस्टेंट परफॉर्मेंस करना चाहते थे तो आपके लिए ये चीज जरूरी है बहुत जरूरी है यू नीड टू बी विद कॉन्फिडेंट consistent with the things you do. Yes, it's very important to have very good group of cricketers who play for each other's and are supporting each other's because this kind of stuff very important in a major tournament. Zimbabwe does that. Yeah, a lot of things you can always learn from other teams. Zim wasn't in the best of their form. In Bangladesh, Bangladesh always in top side, but Zim never, stay back. They keep improving and they keep coming back. So that's the lesson Bangladesh always can take from Zimbabwe. And other things is you don't give up. Whoever teams you play, whatever situation you have, you give your best shot. That's what probably Zim doing in this tournament. That's why probably they're successful. That's the one thing Bangladesh can always take from Zim. That what matters, what equations, what wickets, what condition. If you give your best shot, you can always win. With better opponents. So Bangladesh so far, still has a lot of good things in Bangladesh, but they need to, play with their fear away and give their best shot.
And now, because of how things stand at the moment, because remind you, Zimbabwe have played two games. The first one, there was no result. They got 1 point against South Africa. But in the other game, they defeated Pakistan by 1 run. And courtesy that, at the moment, they have 3 points. If they win today, and I'm just saying if, Habib, don't take offense, if they win against Bangladesh, they secure 5 points, and that would see them at the top of the table, albeit for the time being. Now things are looking really good, and the confidence actually is high. You can gauge that from what the statement has come from Craig Irvine. He mentioned that they have a realistic chance of making it to the semifinals, and Cobus, obviously, technically, they do have a chance.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, who would have thought that Zimbabwe would sit on 3 points after playing South Africa and Pakistan, two of the big teams in their group? If they win today, they've got two matches to go. They're playing the Netherlands up next, and they would favour their chances. And then they play India, which could be a really big game for them. And the way this tournament is going, there could be rain against India. It could be a shortened match. So very much open uh, for them, and they're in with a good chance. They're in a very good space at the moment, and for them today is very much they've got everything to play for today. And if they win this match, they realistically could surprise everybody and really make it into the semi-finals.
और अभी भी जो सक्सेस स्टोरी है ये हैमरिंग करती है फैक्ट कि जो अभी 12 टीमों का विश्व कप हो रहा है, 4 टीमें क्वालिफायर से आ रही हैं, ये कितना महत्वपूर्ण होता है विश्व कप को और भी दिलचस्प बनाने के लिए। और जिम्बाब्वे ने लगातार अपने अच्छे प्रदर्शन से इस टूर्नामेंट में उससे पहले के क्वालिफायर्स भी देखे तो प्रूव किया है कि क्यों जरूरी है ऐसी टीमों को मौका देने का, और उनके क्रिकेट के फर्दर ग्रोथ के लिए ऐसी बड़ी टीमों के साथ वर्ल्ड कप के प्लेटफॉर्म में खेलना और भी महत्वपूर्ण फिर हो जाता है।
ये बहुत बड़े अपॉर्चुनिटी है इस कंट्री के लिए। Bangladesh cricket has changed before 99 World Cup and after 99 World Cup. It's totally different scene in Bangladesh cricket, because after Bangladesh playing World Cup, getting their first chances to play the 99 World Cup, then the cricket in Bangladesh totally changed. There are a lot of interest, a lot of boys wanted to play cricket. So this Islamic country is very important for them to play in World Cup stage, so that in cricket grows big in their country. And it's very good for cricket to have countries, other Asian country coming in the
Yeah.
mainstream, and these team can actually perform. If you look at even 50 overs format, T20 formats, they quite regularly beating big teams, who bigger teams than than them. So it's important for the cricket, and it's very good for this research country to get this opportunity. And they actually, if you look at this tournament, they actually came just as a number, just to be a number of the team. They actually perform. They actually make this tournament very interesting. So I think it's a very good for move from ICC. It's good for tournament, and I think it's very good for these countries, who is not playing regular cricket in the international level.
Who was to take your thoughts on the topic? I mean, the advantages are so many. They get recognition, they get notice. There's a chance to grab a deal with so much franchise cricket going on in quote unquote mainstream cricketing countries, and the media attention that they get back home as well to see your team performing against the best sides in cricketing world. All of that. I mean, the advantages are so many.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, I just look at three teams as an example, as you say, the Netherlands, Ireland, and Zimbabwe. I was working in the Netherlands with the Dutch Cricket Board in 2000. I was national youth coach. I coach a lot of these guys that's playing now when they were under 15, giving my age away a bit there. But if I look at the cricket during that time in the Netherlands, it was absolutely an amateur game. These guys all had jobs in the week. They were working like club cricketers. And if I look at this team, that was in 2000. If I look at this Netherlands team now, I mean, these guys, most of them are playing county cricket. Their fast bowlers all got county contracts. They're playing franchise cricket all over the world, quite a few of them playing in Australia. So the game has developed so much, and you have to thank the ICC for that, for supporting these smaller countries, for giving them these opportunities. And these teams, if you look at another couple of years from now, I don't think we're going to go into these tournaments anymore and talk about the smaller countries or the underdogs. I think it's
Mm,
going to level the playing field, and we're heading in this tournament already. Can you
mm,
really call Zimbabwe one of the weaker sides in this tournament? They're in line to make a semi-final. So
mm.
definitely wonderful opportunity for these players and good for cricket.
I'd come back to that, but like we mentioned, the smaller teams and all of those adjectives being used, हमने देखा है हबीब की छोटा फॉर्मेट और उस केस में जितना छोटा फॉर्मेट होते जाता है उतने उतना ज्यादा वो जो गल्फ है कोट एंड कोट बड़ी कंट्रीज और रिलेटिवली कम पेडिग्री वाले क्रिकेटिंग नेशंस अगर वो कहें वो कम होता जाता है.
अगर या इसमें टीम का डिफरेंस छोटा हो जाता है लेकिन you must give some credit to them also. I mean, yeah, it is over skills shorter format is shorter. It makes even for the the both big teams, small team, whatever you call it. But you cannot take these things away from the teams who are not playing, in mainstream regular. And you have to give some credit to them. And no matter what format you play, no matter what overs you play, I mean, 20 overs, 10 overs, 6 overs, you have to play your best. And, every team has got players who can adapt this kind of situation. So come and win matches, you have to play well, you have to, give your best shot. So after winning, you just cannot say that it's a shorter format. It makes both teams, the difference between small, margin up there is a little bit narrow. But I don't see in that way. I think whoever wins, it's not because of shorter format, it's because the cricket they are playing.
Yeah, yeah. And then talking about harping again on doing away with the tags like smaller teams, weaker teams, like upsets. In fact, while speaking to CricTracker, the Irish cricket captain mentioned that we defeated England. The word upset should not be used. Similarly, maybe in case of Zimbabwe, of course, Pakistan had overwhelming numbers against Zimbabwe ahead of that clash in the 2020 World Cup. But then, how convinced are you with this word upset? And should the word upset be used in the context of Zimbabwe?
Yes, I mean, we have to be honest about it. If you had asked before those two matches, if you had asked people, do you really expect Ireland to beat England? Do you really expect Zimbabwe to beat Pakistan? They would have said no. So definitely those results were upsets. But that is the beauty of this tournament. There's no easy matches in this tournament. And I think it's got a lot to do with the conditions in Australia. It really balances things out a lot more. The harder, faster wickets balance it out. So definitely upsets, but definitely no easy matches in this tournament. No team can be sort of sit back and think, well, we've got an easy 2 points today. It's just not going to happen in this tournament.
No easy matches in this tournament. We've seen that so far a week into the tournament, and no easy questions in our contest as well, wherein you get a chance to win a lot of awards. तो contest में आपको क्या करना है इन बड़े hampers को जीतने के लिए? पहला स्टेप ये है कि आपको प्रिडिक्ट करना है प्लेयर ऑफ द मैच आज के पहले मुकाबले बांग्लादेश और जिम्बाब्वे के बीच खेले जाने वाले इस मुकाबले के बीच में, और दूसरे स्टेप में आपको हैशटैग यूज करना है बैट ब्रिक 7. डेडलाइन बहुत पास है, 4 मिनट के अंदर आपको अपने प्रिडिक्शंस करने हैं. अब नजर डालते हैं पोल पे जो हमने रन किया था इस मुकाबले की शुरुआत में. सवाल यह है कि क्या जिम्बाब्वे बांग्लादेश को हरा सकता है, और इसको देखते ही हबीब को बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं आया, या ये जो स्थिति यहाँ पे हमारे सामने समीकरण बैठ रहा है, yes 84%, overwhelming 84%, or no 16%. So we leave it at that, and of course once we are back with our post match, that would also serve as a build up to the next game that is to be played between the Netherlands and Pakistan. We know the answer, we know whether this poll got it right or not. So that's all the time we have in this pre-match show of the first game. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining and sharing your analysis with us so early in the morning. We'd be back again post match. Until then, goodbye and take care.